I'm Bullish Aristocrat, and today we're doing the real math on REITs versus rental property. Because the internet loves to argue about which one is better, and almost nobody runs the actual numbers. Let's start with plain returns. A benchmarking study covering pension funds from 1998 to 2023, 26 years of realized data, found that publicly traded REITs averaged a net annual return of 9.72%. Private real estate, the kind you'd own directly as a landlord, averaged 7.79% over that same period. That's REITs beating direct property ownership by close to 2 full percentage points a year, every year for over 2 decades. Zoom out even further, and the FTSE Nareit All Equity REIT Index averaged 9.9% annually over 25 years. Not bad for something you can buy with a few clicks. So, on paper, REITs win. But here's where rental property fights back. Leverage. Say you buy a $400,000 rental with 25% down, that's $100,000 of your own money. If that property appreciates just 4% in a year, that's $16,000 of gain on a $100,000 investment. That's a 16% return on your actual cash, before a single dollar of rent even comes in. REITs don't give you that kind of leverage boost, because you're buying shares outright, not financing 75% of the purchase with a mortgage. Sounds like rental property wins after all, right? Not so fast. That leverage math only works if you ignore what it actually costs to run a rental. And this is the part most YouTube videos skip. Maintenance reserves alone eat 10 to 15% of your rental income in a typical year. Vacancy costs take another 5 to 8%. And in early 2026, the national rental vacancy rate sat at 7.3%, meaning a real chunk of the year your unit might just be empty. When a tenant does turn over, the lost rent, cleaning, repairs, and releasing costs now average around $4,000 per turnover. And if you're not managing the property yourself, a property manager typically charges 8 to 12% of monthly rent, plus a placement fee worth half to a full month's rent every time they find a new tenant. Stack all of that up, and a big chunk of that appreciation gain you just calculated gets eaten before it ever reaches your pocket. REITs don't have any of these costs on your end, because professional managers are already baked into that 9.72% number, and REITs are legally required to pay out at least 90% of their taxable income as dividends, which is why REIT yields typically run 3 to 7% a year in cash, on top of any share price growth. Then there's liquidity, and this one isn't close. You can start investing in REITs with about $1,000 and sell your position in seconds during market hours. A rental property takes months to buy, months to sell, and a real estate agent's commission on the way out. If you need your money back quickly, REITs let you do that. A rental property does not. Taxes matter too, and they cut in different directions for each. Rental property owners get to deduct depreciation every year, which can shelter a chunk of rental income from taxes. And they can use a 1031 exchange to defer capital gains when they sell and reinvest in another property. REIT dividends are generally taxed as ordinary income, though part of that can qualify for a lower rate depending on your situation. This is genuinely one of the more complicated parts of the comparison, and the right answer depends on your personal tax bracket and goals. So this is worth a real conversation with a tax professional before you decide anything, not a YouTube video. So which one actually wins? Based on the 26-year data, REITs have historically delivered better returns with way less hassle and way more liquidity. But rental property still has one real advantage that shows up over decades. Leverage lets you control a much larger asset with a smaller amount of your own cash. And if you're willing to do the work of screening tenants, handling maintenance calls, and riding out vacancy periods, that leverage can pay off, assuming the property appreciates and you don't get hit with a bad tenant or a bad year. If you want simple, liquid, historically strong returns, and you don't want a 2 a.m. call about a broken water heater, the data leans REIT. If you're willing to trade your time and take on debt for a shot at outsized gains through leverage, rental property can still make sense. Just go in with your eyes open about the real costs eating into that appreciation number. This video is for education only, not personalized investment advice. Real estate returns vary enormously by market, property type, and timing. So do your own research and talk to a professional before putting real money into either one. Let me know in the comments which one you'd actually choose, and I'll see you in the next video.